Today's news highlights 20250707. Date July 7, 2025. July 7, 114, Republic of China. News highlights: the 2025 summer season falls on July 7, which is the solar term after the summer solstice, and the climate is hot but not yet the hottest. Folk customs include eating new food, drying things, resting in summer, meditation, etc., and you can use bitter gourd, loofah, melon and other vegetables and fruits to cool off and maintain health, and avoid staying up late, overworking and blowing air conditioning for a long time. Traditional Chinese medicine recommends a light diet, regulating the heart fire and pressing the pericardial meridian to calm the nerves. Those who want to attract wealth can cut 3 circles of yellow paper, put them in a red envelope and put them in a wallet for 3 days and then discard them, symbolizing Sanyang Kai Tai and wealth coming to the door. News highlights: modern people sit in the office for a long time, which often leads to stiff shoulders and limited movement of the shoulder blades. Kenji Endo, an associate professor at Tokyo Medical University, recommends scapula release stretch, which relaxes the muscles around the scapula, improves blood circulation, and relieves stickiness and tightness. Movements include raising the elbows of the hand, wrapping the arms upward, and then lowering the shoulder blades to relax, which can help restore shoulder flexibility and prevent shoulder pain and chronic soreness. For beginners, it is recommended to start with 5 times a day, and the movements should be done slowly to avoid strain. News highlights: Eric Mai, a second-generation Chinese official, exposed surveillance and politics in a county-level city in Jiangsu. He pointed out that China uses big data and AI to comprehensively monitor its people, and there is nothing hidden from their mobile phones, behaviors, gaits, etc., and the people are like transparent people. Missing children are difficult to find, and live organ harvesting is suspected to be led by the government, and grassroots law enforcement personnel are not allowed to make inquiries. Eric criticized China's economic resources for spending a lot of resources on stability maintenance and surveillance, and the people at the bottom are living in hardship. He called for the spread of the truth and the hope that China would become a normal society and stop human rights violations. News highlights: since the implementation of the Holding Foreign Companies Accountable Act, more than 80 Chinese concept stocks have been delisted from U.S. exchanges, mostly due to evading strict U.S. regulatory, disclosure and audit requirements. The U.S. Securities Regulatory Authority found that a number of Chinese companies had serious audit deficiencies, leading to a crisis of confidence. Some companies have moved to Hong Kong for secondary listings, but experts point out that Hong Kong's liquidity is difficult to replace the U.S. market. With the return of Trump as president, Chinese concept stocks may face stricter supervision and delisting risks. News highlights: the reciprocal tariff exemption period is about to expire, and the market expects that the U.S. tax rate on Taiwan may be between 10% and 20%, which helped Taiwan stocks fluctuate this week. The legal person pointed out that if the tax rate falls at 10%, it will be a major benefit. However, if it remains at 32%, it may hit Taiwan stocks hard. Although the negative tariffs are gradually digested, investors still need to pay attention to the appreciation of the new Taiwan dollar, which has led to the loss of corporate foreign exchange, and the pressure on earnings reports may become a risk of subsequent corrections. News highlights: Morgan Stanley, a foreign-funded company, pointed out that the U.S. Big and American Act will increase the semiconductor factory construction tax credit to 35%, which will help TSMC reduce the cost of setting up factories in the United States, and may be exempted from tariffs, coupled with strong demand for AI, maintain the outperform rating, with a target price of 1,288 yuan. Although the appreciation of the exchange rate may affect the profit performance in the third quarter, with the strong demand for AI and 2nm and the increase in wafer quotations, TSMC's future revenue and stock price still have room for growth. News highlights: Tesla CEO Elon Musk announced the creation of a new political party, the American Party, claiming to represent 80% of the median voters, with the goal of influencing the 2026 U.S. midterm elections and challenging lawmakers who support the Big and American Act. The move showed his break with Trump and raised concerns among investors about his distraction politics and impact on Tesla's operations. Experts pointed out that the polarization of the U.S. political arena, institutional restrictions, and fundraising challenges will be major obstacles on the road to the founding of the party. News highlights: when Typhoon Dennis hit, the Kaohsiung Taxation Bureau of the Ministry of Finance reminded the public that if they lose property due to the disaster, they should take photos and save evidence as soon as possible after the disaster to preserve the evidence, and prepare relevant documents such as loss list and maintenance estimate, and apply for tax reduction and exemption to the Tax Bureau within 30 days after the disaster. The IRS will review the case on a lenient and expeditious basis to assist people in completing their applications for relief and reducing the burden of disaster damage. News highlights: in the first half of the year, global markets were divided due to the uncertainty of Trump's tariffs, with Asian stocks leading the way, with South Korea rising 28% and Taiwan stocks falling 3.4%. Gold has become a safe haven dark horse, with a market value of $22.6 trillion ranking first in the world, and overseas gold funds have risen by more than 50%. The performance of domestic equity funds was mixed, with established funds such as Risheng and Nomura winning, among the 16 ETFs in Taiwan's stock market capitalization, the performance outperformed the broader market. The Aerospace Defense Technology ETF rose 33.88%, reflecting geopolitical risks. Among the overall assets, Bitcoin and silver also topped the list, indicating that safe haven assets and technology stocks coexist. Investors are concerned about the direction of tariffs and the development of AI in the second half of the year. News highlights: Thai Prime Minister Beten Tha's suspension from office on July 1 was sparked by the Constitutional Court after recordings of a private phone call with former Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Sen were leaked, sparking political turmoil. In the recording, Beten Tha shows his closeness to Cambodia and is accused of harming national interests. The conflict between the two countries has heated up in recent months over a long-standing border dispute over a 1907 French colonial map, leading to trade and cultural boycotts. Despite the security of Thailand's main tourist areas, border tensions persist, and people and tourists should remain vigilant and avoid disputed areas. News highlights: Meta recently attracted top AI talents such as OpenAI and DeepMind with a salary of 100 million yuan, and established Meta Superintelligence Labs to actively deploy superintelligence research in an attempt to surpass the AGI stage. The new team focuses on basic research, large language models and next-generation AI technologies, demonstrating Meta's determination to compete in the future of AI. Although questioned is more of a marketing strategy, Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg emphasized that AI is the beginning of a new era for mankind. At the same time, Meta has also increased its investment in metaverse-related hardware, hoping that 2025 will become a key turning point in the metaverse, combining ultra-intelligent technology with the metaverse vision to create a next-generation platform. News highlights: South Korea has one of the highest poverty rates in the world over the age of 65, mainly due to a lack of money education and a lack of understanding of the workings of capitalism, which makes it impossible for many people to accumulate wealth. The author, John Lee, pointed out that to achieve financial freedom, we need to understand the relationship between capital and labor, earn income through labor, and then use part of the funds to invest to increase value, and the two prongs can become rich. Only when a worker becomes a capitalist at the same time can he break through the income limit. South Korea's share of labor income is about 60%, and most of the profits are held by a few capitalists, making it difficult for most people to accumulate sufficient assets. Financial freedom is not accidental, and it is necessary to continue to financial fitness, change misconceptions, and actively manage and invest money. News highlights: Typhoon Donas made landfall in the middle of the Taiwan at 11:40 p.m. on the 6th in Bude, Chi, marking the first central landfall typhoon since 1986. Penghu Dongji Island and Tainan Kigu recorded strong gusts of 16, and the signboard of RT Mart in Tainan was blown down by strong winds and sparks, and the situation was alarming. The meteorological department reminds that there are still strong winds in many places in Taiwan on the 7th. Please pay attention to the prevention of falling objects and safety, and be careful when working and driving outdoors. News highlights: Yeshua Hua, a Taiwanese member of the South Korean girl group IDLE, recently attended the press conference of the public television program Go Out, showing her elegant temperament with a white flat dress, which is completely different from the stage image. She revealed that she will launch her solo work at the end of 2025 and become the spokesperson of the sports brand Skechers. In December, South Korea's Asian Star Festival will move to Taiwan for the first time, and Yeshua Hua will host the ACON 2025 concert with Lee Junrong, Alan, and Sui. After the press conference, she personally bought bubble tea to comfort her assistant, and then took a flight back to South Korea, and the itinerary was full. News highlights: this year's number 4 Typhoon Donas made landfall in Bude, Chi at 23:40 on the night of the 6th, causing a strong wind of 14 in Chi City, and at least 10 people were injured and sent to the hospital. The typhoon weakened to a light typhoon at 5 a.m. on the 7th, exited the sea at the junction of Daewon and Hsinchu at 6 a.m., and moved northeastward. The Meteorological Department, CMD, expects that there is a chance that the Land Guard will be lifted this afternoon and the Coast Guard will be lifted in the evening. Affected by the typhoon and the outer circulation, there is still heavy rain in Penghu and the central and southern mountainous areas, and the public is reminded to pay attention to the risks of collapse, rockfall, and flooding, and avoid going to the central and southern mountainous areas. News highlights: the boy group Energy won the first Golden Melody Award for Song of the Year in 23 years with Friday Night, but it was recently revealed that Kunda was absent from the Hito Awards ceremony at the end of June, and the Golden Melody Awards ceremony was late, and it was rumored that there was a discord within the group. Toro, a member of the family, had a disagreement with Milk in the past, and it took nearly 2 years for him to reconcile. Although Kunda was delayed due to work, he finally arrived at the scene, which touched the members of the group. Friday Night became popular with the 16 Squats dance and topped many charts, but it also caused some netizens to question its musicality as inferior to other shortlisted works. News highlights: the Lions lost 12-16 to Wei Chuanlong in Tianmu last night, and after the game, the team braved the torrential rain and strong winds to return to Tainan. Self-trained player Ga Rengxiao shared a thrilling video of the bus driving on the national highway on social media, with poor visibility in the wind and rain, and an accident on the way, which made fans worry about safety. Football star Chen Zhixian also humorously posted a dragon boat rowing video to relieve ridicule. Fortunately, the bus arrived safely at around 2 o'clock in the morning, and the players reported their safety one after another, so that the fans could rest assured. News highlights: Typhoon Dennis made landfall in Bude, Chi at 11:40 p.m. on the 6th, accompanied by strong gusts of 17 to ravage Yunlin, Chi, Tainan, and Penghu, causing serious damage. The Tianfu archway collapsed in Tainan, the signboard of Jiali RT Mart broke and burst into flames, the entire row of electric poles on the Chi Industrial Road collapsed, the street signs, iron sheets, and rain shelters flew down one after another, the billboards of the Carrefour night market were tilted, the stalls were seriously damaged, and the overall post-disaster scene was tragic. News highlights: this week's astrological influences include Uranus entry into Gemini, bringing about changes in relationships and communication. Mercury stagnation is easy to cause forgetfulness and quarrels, so it is necessary to pay attention to driving safety. Saturn retrograde is a reminder to examine self-growth. In terms of the 12 zodiac signs, Cancer needs to adjust its goals, the Lion avoids being emotional, the Sagittarius needs to be patient, Pisces keeps his sanity, the Gemini makes good use of connections, the Virgin is busy and has a sense of accomplishment, Capricorn seizes the opportunity, Aquarius has good overseas luck, the Peony peach blossom is prosperous, the Taurus is helped in the workplace, Libra accepts foreign aid, and the Scorpio has good financial luck. News highlights: Typhoon Dennis number 4 intensified into a moderate typhoon on the 6th and is expected to gradually move away after passing through the northern part of the Taiwan Strait at noon on the 7th. Although many places have announced the suspension of classes, most of the North and North Kinta remain normal, causing dissatisfaction among netizens. Taipei Mayor Zhang Wanan said that the wind and rain did not meet the standard, and the anti-Taiwan response mechanism has been activated and preparedness has been strengthened. New Taipei, Keelung, and Dawin City also emphasized that according to the data analysis of the Central Meteorological Administration, only the 4 coastal districts of Dawin will be suspended, and other areas will remain normal, and the public will be reminded to pay attention to safety and weather changes. News highlights: the global steel market has fallen into the worst predicament in 30 years, affected by the United States reciprocal tariffs, weak demand, and market pessimism. Steel industry orders have generally dropped by 3% or even halved, and production and sales have been frozen. Sino-Steel pointed out that the third quarter was originally an off-season, and it was made worse by typhoons, summer vacations and external headwinds. U.S. orders have stagnated, and steel mills have turned to domestic sales, but they have fallen into the dilemma of cutting prices due to fierce competition. The decline in raw material demand has affected upstream orders. Although the rebound in iron ore prices has brought support, it is mostly a technical correction, and the demand has not rebounded significantly, and the market outlook is still full of uncertainty. News highlights: Typhoon Don has hit Taiwan, and Bai Jitao announced last night that he would go to work in class normally on the 7th, and only Dawin Lezhu, Dayuan, Guanyin, and Xinyu 4 districts would be suspended, triggering polar reactions from netizens. Some people criticized Taipei Mayor Zhang Wanan for looking at cold numbers and not knowing how to send points, and bluntly said that it should not be so hard-held. Other proponents believe that the wind and rain are not too heavy, and it is a wise decision not to take a holiday according to the standard. The meteorological department said that Donas had fallen into a mild typhoon in the early morning, but there was still a threat north of Chi, and the wind and rain conditions remained unstable in the north, and the public was divided on whether to have a holiday. News highlights: studies have shown that drinking hot beverages from a paper cup may cause you to invisibly ingest a large amount of microplastics, which can affect hormones, metabolism, and gut health. The inner plastic film of the paper cup releases hundreds of millions of microplastic particles when heated, which has been linked to obesity, acne, menstrual disorders and even cancer. Microplastics may also disrupt the intestinal flora, causing chronic problems such as gas and constipation. Experts recommend switching to stainless steel or ceramic cups to avoid drinking plastic to protect your beauty and health, while also doing your part for the planet. News highlights: senior producer Zhou Yu's ex-husband and director Zhang Yuan passed away at the end of last month at the age of 83, and a farewell ceremony was held on the 6th. Zhou Yu's mourning relatives appeared, saying that the two were still friends after the divorce, often contacted and cared about their illness, and even provided monthly living and medical expenses, and personally stewed supplements and delivered meals to express their concern. The outside world paid attention to the funeral expenses, and she emphasized that it was hosted by her son Zhang Zhikan, and she was just silently assisting and downplaying the value of money. She also revealed that her husband Li Chaoyong accompanied him that day, but did not show up and only waited in the car. News highlights: Su Nailan was originally scheduled to hold a wedding for his youngest son Su Tingyong in September last year, but it was postponed due to the poor health of the Korean mother-to-be. Now he and his stewardess wife Wang Jialian have flown to the United States to visit their son who is working in the United States. Su Tingyong is a Yale doctor, and he has been dating his girlfriend for 12 years and has a stable relationship. Su Nailan said emotionally that this behavior relieved the long-distance miss of his son. Although the long-distance flight was hard, but the moment of meeting was full of happiness, and wished the parents all over the world to be safe and happy. News highlights: Typhoon Donas made landfall in Bude, Chi at 11:40 last night, and became a mild typhoon in the early morning, and the typhoon center was out to sea near the junction of Dawan and Hsinchu at 6 o'clock this morning. The Central Weather Service pointed out that Donas continued to weaken and the storm circle narrowed, and is currently located about 50 kilometers west of Taipei, heading northeast to north at a speed of 21 to 9 kilometers per hour. The south of Tainan and Penghu have been out of the storm circle, but the north of Chi to Hualien is still affected, with maximum gusts of 10. The onshore typhoon warning zone covers many counties and cities in northern Taiwan and central China, reminding the public to continue to pay attention to weather changes and safety. News highlights: a 26-year-old delivery driver was diagnosed with acute myocardial infarction after seeking medical treatment after seeking medical attention due to frequent entry and exit of the air-conditioned vehicle, sudden chest tightness and cold sweat, and fortunately saved his life after emergency surgery. Doctors pointed out that too low a cold temperature may cause vasoconstriction and increase the risk of myocardial infarction, especially for the three highs, obesity, and smokers. The public is reminded to beware of alternating between hot and cold, avoid turning on the air conditioner too strongly, and seek medical attention as soon as possible if there are symptoms such as chest tightness. News highlights: artist Guo Mingjie shared that when she cut her hair in South Korea, she was shocked to see that the designer had lost 16 kilograms in 3 months with a cabbage wrapped with oatmeal meal, and his complexion changed greatly, and he almost did not exercise. This diet focuses on boiled oats and blanched cabbage buns with boiled protein sources, emphasizing low GI, low calorie, and high fiber satiety. She reminds that it is important to replenish protein and good oil to avoid muscle loss. Although scientifically based, it is not suitable for people with gastrointestinal sensitivities, kidney disease, or gluten sensitivity. Guo Mingjie also called for healthy slimming to be based on the principle of balance and stability, and not to go to extremes. News highlights: Typhoon Donas hit the southern Kunya dynasty Tianfu in Tainan. The temple was seriously flooded, the archway that had stood for more than 40 years was blown down by strong winds, and 12 precious cypress columns were soaked in water and damaged, and the believers and residents deeply regretted it. As the largest faith center in Tainan, Nankan Dynasty Tianfu has a long history and was designed by a national treasure master, costing 400 million yuan to build. In addition, the huge statue of the Prince of the Palace of Xinying was also blown off by strong winds, and although the believers were worried about the damage to the building, they thanked the gods for blessing everyone through the storm safely. News highlights: Enolix's Car UX acquired the entire stake in Pioneer, a century-old Japanese brand, for NT $32.69 billion, marking the largest overseas merger and acquisition in nearly 15 years. Pioneer's deep in-car audio and HMI technology, as well as its strong partnerships with Japanese automakers, will help Car UX expand the smart cockpit market and enter the global Tier 1 supply chain. The analysis points out that this merger and acquisition is not only to expand the product line, but also to integrate the key layout of brands, technologies, and channels, which is expected to rewrite the map of the global automotive electronics industry. News highlights: Typhoon Donas made landfall in Bude, Chi, last night, making landfall in Chi, the first typhoon to make landfall in Chi in 120 years, and the second moderate typhoon to make landfall in central Taiwan after Typhoon Wayne in 1986. Donas brought strong storms and rains, many signboards and large billboards in Tainan were blown down, and weather stations successively set new gust records, with strong gusts of more than 13 measured in Chi, Tainan, and Dongji Island in Penghu. The typhoon has weakened into the sea this morning, and the Central Meteorological Administration is expected to lift the warning on land in the afternoon and at sea in the evening, but north of Mili and Yulan still need to pay attention to the impact of wind and rain. News highlights: the 2024 Major League Baseball Star Game will be held at the Atlanta Warriors home stadium on July 15, and the latest list includes Shohei Ohtani, Yoshin Yamamoto, and Yusei Kikuchi, 3 Japanese stars, tied for the most in history. Dodgers star Kershaw was selected in a special capacity for the 11th time of his career. It is worth noting that stars such as Soto and Baez, who are worth $765 million, were not selected, which caused heated discussions. The full list includes the star players of each team, presenting a wonderful lineup of new generations and veterans dancing together. News highlights: the wave of recalls has swept across Taiwan, and the first batch of 24 KMT legislators will be voted on July 26. On the 6th, some rock climbing enthusiasts hung a agree to recall flag on the steep rock wall of Longdong in northeast Taiwan to show their determination to support it. The original PO emphasized that neither the flag nor the rock machinery would damage the rock wall, and all of them had been taken back after taking pictures, calling for respect for the spirit of protection of the climbing site. The move sparked heated discussions, with netizens praising its courage and environmentally friendly attitude, but there were also opposing voices criticizing the destruction of nature. The original PO reaffirmed that he would follow the LNT principle and leave only good memories. News highlights: Pacific International Sports Marketing announced that it will hold the first New York Yankees Taiwan Day on September 10 at the home stadium of the New York Yankees, which is the first Taiwan Day event held by the Yankees in 112 years and has great cultural significance. The event was facilitated by PAFIC in collaboration with the Federation of Taiwanese Chambers of Commerce in North America, and a limited edition package was launched, where ticket buyers could enter an exclusive seating area and receive a jersey and cap with the word Taiwan and the lucky back number 8. The organizers hope to show the enthusiasm of Taiwanese fans and open up more opportunities for future cooperation. News highlights: the Unification Lions fought against Wei Chuanlong at Tianmu Stadium last night and finally lost 12-16. After the game, the team took a bus back to Tainan overnight, and encountered Typhoon Donas on the way to make landfall in Chibude. The wind and rain were strong, and even the captain Chen Zhixian also shared thrilling pictures on IG, causing fans to care about the safety of the players. Lions team leader Su Taean responded this morning, reminding the driver to slow down, and the players have arrived home safely to rest, and will re-evaluate safety measures in the future if the wind and rain intensify. The typhoon has had a great impact on the south, and fans hope that the club will continue to pay attention to the safety of typhoon prevention. News highlights: Central Taiwan Donas struck Taiwan, and Tainan Kigu district was hit by 16 strong gusts of wind on the evening of the 6th, causing serious disasters. The red brick roofs were torn off in many places, and the sheltered houses were dilapidated, and residents rushed to repair them and cover them with canvas. Recreational boats and fishing boats were blown ashore by the wind at General Harbor and suffered heavy losses. Uprooting power poles has led to massive power outages, and fallen road trees have obstructed traffic. The tin roof of the textile factory was torn off, and the office lost more than 2 million yuan. After the wind and rain, residents and relevant units actively cleaned up the aftermath and restored the order of their homes and lives. News highlights: U.S. President Donald Trump announced that the 90-day moratorium on reciprocal tariff negotiations will end on July 9, and tariff adjustment notices will be issued to some trading partners from noon on July 7. Trump also warned that any country allied with the anti-U.S. policies of the BRICS countries would impose an additional 10% tariff without any exceptions. BRICS leaders are expected to condemn the U.S. move at their July 6 to 7 summit in Brazil, arguing that the tariffs are indiscriminate and threaten to harm the global economy, but the draft statement remains uncertain. News highlights: this year's number 4 Typhoon Donas landed in Taiwan with moderate typhoon intensity, and the storm circle touched the south last night, and counties and cities successively announced the suspension of classes on the 7th. The news caused dissatisfaction among the people in the Baibei base area due to the wind and rain that did not meet the standards, and Taipei Mayor Zhang Wanan was criticized by a large number of comments on Facebook. Interestingly, Zhang Wanan only attached a personal photo when announcing the suspension of classes, but did not announce normal classes, and netizens sarcastically only have my own photos on holidays. Zhang Wanan said that according to the assessment of the Central Meteorological Administration, the wind and rainfall in Taipei City did not meet the suspension standard, and emphasized that it was decided by the joint discussion of Taipei and Baitao. News highlights: the Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, has recently determined the nomination method for the 2026 local county mayoral election, and the current re-elected county mayors will be recruited by the party chairman, and other ruling counties and cities will be elected through primary elections. In Kaohsiung, the incumbent mayor Chen Kamai will not run for election after 2 consecutive terms, and legislators Chu Yiying, Su Zhihua, Lai Rulong, and Lin Dehua are all considered possible candidates. Political expert Xi Zhengfeng pointed out that Interior Minister Liu Shifeng may also return to the pot to run for election, forming a 5-for-1 situation and becoming a roadblock in the Green Camp primary. He analyzed that Lin Dehua is strong at the grassroots level, but offends the faction. Su Zhihua is less annoying but slightly weaker, and Lai Rulong and Chu Yiying belong to different factions, and the election situation is changeable. News highlights: internet celebrity 4-pronged cat, Liu Yuxi, has been found to be unable to search for multiple social accounts since last night, and it has been confirmed that his personal Facebook, fan group, Instagram, and Threads accounts have all been permanently suspended. The 4-pronged cat has long exposed the controversy of the blue and white camp, and recently broke the news that the black history of the moderator surnamed Dai of Memetic Taiwanese Democracy was suspected of being reported by blue and white supporters. The suspension incident sparked heated discussions among netizens, questioning the abnormal permanent suspension of 4 platforms at the same time, and some voices thought that there might be a mysterious force behind it. The 4-pronged cat reluctantly said that the account was permanently banned, and called on supporters to pay attention to the issue of free speech. News highlights: Shu Hua, a member of the South Korean girl group IDLE, recently released a number of brand photos, showing her signature long brown curly hair and cold eyes, wearing a large flower pattern dress, generously revealing her snow-white collarbones and chest skin, attracting more than 220,000 netizens to like. Shu Hua not only has a large number of fans in South Korea and Taiwan, but she is also close to the people. Even with a busy schedule, she still often interacts with fans in the community, and her popularity continues to rise. Fans have left messages praising her beauty and temperament, and the photos are highly topical, showing her unique charm. News highlights: after Chinese actress Zhou Yangqing broke up with Taiwanese artist Luo Hixiang, She often travels abroad and has been photographed shopping in Japan many times and enjoying a luxurious life. Today, 7th, is the 88th anniversary of the 77 incident of China's war of resistance against Japanese aggression. Zhou Yangqing quickly forwarded the red background picture card produced by China's official media CCTV, saying that he would never forget the national shame. In the past, she promoted the clothing brand Grace Chow to the Japanese market, CO branded with local fashion brands, and her career and life are closely related to Japan, which has aroused heated discussions among netizens. News highlights: due to its superior location, good living functions and good school district, Da'an district of Taipei City has high housing prices, and it is a hot area for many people to dream of. Recently, internet celebrity writer Lan Beichuo found a batch of high-end furniture discarded, including sofas, chairs, etc., next to the arcade in Da'an district, and there were almost no traces of use, which made him exclaim, "The furniture lost in Da'an district is actually better than his own home." After the photo was exposed, it sparked a heated discussion among netizens, calling these furniture more advanced than the newly bought ones, highlighting the high living standards of residents in the district. News highlights: after pop music, Huang Xiaohu held the Amber Siang Trigger World Tour at the Heian Hall of the Kaohsiung Pop Music Center yesterday, 5th, enthusiastically shouting to the audience in his hometown, "I am Kaohsiung Chamuze." When singing Blue Gradient, she was emotionally broken, wiped her tears, and the audience was immersed and moved. Friends Wan Feng, Zhou Hui, and Olympic weightlifting gold medalist Guo Jianchun came to support. Wan Feng just finished his trip to Canada and quickly went south, and sang New Love with Huang Xiaohu. The scene was warm. Guo Jianchun revealed that Huang Xiaohu's singing gave her motivation to prepare for the competition, and the three of them showed the most beautiful women, and the atmosphere was warm and touching. News highlights: China's 53-year-old actor Tan Kai became popular for his role as Ying Hui in the land drama Wai Sheng Xiaomo, and recently opened a dumpling shop in Qingdao, focusing on fresh handmade buns, and free soup and side dishes, which attract a large number of fans to make pilgrimages at affordable prices. However, due to the slow delivery of food, there were only 3 to 4 waiters on the scene, and the waiting time was as long as 40 minutes, which was constantly complained by customers. Tan Kai responded in person, emphasizing that it takes time to make manual packaging, calling on everyone to be more patient, and said that he had begun to recruit more people and promised to improve the quality of service as soon as possible. News highlights: Hollywood actor Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie used to be in love, and after 8 years of litigation after the breakdown of their marriage in 2016, the two sides choked each other many times, and even their children expressed their support for their mother. According to people familiar with the matter, Brad Pitt struggled internally during the divorce and still had feelings for Julie and regretted admitting that he had made mistakes. Recently, he starred in the movie F1 and received great acclaim, and his private life made a public appearance with his new girlfriend. He once adjusted his mentality through the alcohol withdrawal club, but his relationship with Julie was difficult to recover, and most of his 6 children kept their distance from their father, which became his biggest pain. News highlights: in mid-July, the Soha Fortune column pointed out that the zodiac rat, dog, rabbit, and snake will usher in a period of rapid fortune. Because of their flexibility and agility, they are supported by nobles, have outstanding work performance, and have increased opportunities for promotion. Dog people get the help of contacts with sincerity and trustworthiness, break through problems, and have a bumper harvest of career and financial luck. Rabbits are appreciated by their superiors with their wisdom and charm, and their careers are smooth and their wealth is prosperous. Snake people are highly adaptable, perceptive, and have outstanding performance in the workplace, with increased opportunities for promotion and salary increases, and their overall career has ushered in a new peak. News highlights: 31-year-old Japanese photo actress Ruriko Kojima, married Kota Kitamura, president of Sanwa, 2 years ago and has a son. In February this year, she was saddened by the death of her husband suspected of inhaling dangerous gases. After 5 months, she is in the community posted a photo of holding his son playing in the pool, and his condition seemed to be recovering well, and reminded everyone to pay attention to the scorching heat. According to reports, the island in April, he took over as the president of her husband's company, and although he worked hard to raise money to pay off his debts, he finally decided to close the operation and concentrate on taking care of his son. News highlights: the U.S. reciprocal tariff moratorium expires on July 9, and Trump has signed a notification letter that he plans to formally adjust the tariffs from August 1. The EU and the US side are actively negotiating with the goal of reaching an agreement before the deadline, otherwise tariffs will increase from 10% to 20% or even higher. Japan's tariffs are likely to be raised to 24% due to rice and automobiles. Negotiations continue in India, with the key being on agricultural dairy products, with a tax rate of 26%. South Korea's negotiations are unclear and face a 24% tariff. Taiwan, Thailand, Indonesia, and Bangladesh are on the sidelines, with tax rates of 32%, 37% each. Switzerland wants to extend the moratorium, but remains at risk of tariff increases. The United States has reached preliminary agreements with the United Kingdom, China, and Vietnam, and Cambodia will also release relevant statements. News highlights: Li Nu, a suspect in the homicide of Feng Jiayuan's family of 5, was bailed by the prosecutor with 150,000 yuan yesterday, and immediately posted a clarification on the internet, insisting that she was only helping to pay off her debts, not killing the Wang family. Li Nu said that the daughter of the royal family had already been in debt, and she just tried her best to help, dissatisfied with the police investigation, and called on public opinion not to misunderstand her. The daughter-in-law of the royal family retorted, pointing out that Li Nu was the culprit who killed the family, and questioned the contradiction of Li Nu's statement, emphasizing that the royal family had a stable income and that the family had invested a lot of money, and vowed to investigate the truth to the end. The prosecutors have investigated Li Nu and related persons on suspicion of fraud, intimidation, money laundering and other crimes. News highlights: when interviewing a product manager for a large Chinese company, the interviewer asked, "How do you get the milk that was poured into the sea?" To the disdain of most applicants, only one person replied, "It doesn't matter if you can get it back, as long as you can effectively recover the value of the milk in the end, it is equivalent to getting the milk back." This answer meets the interviewer's expectations and is accepted on the spot. This question examines logical thinking and the way to deal with irreversible mistakes, which has aroused heated discussions among netizens. Some netizens think that the question is boring and has nothing to do with the position, and some people say that the question has been rumored to be an interview question for ByteDance or Hawaii, and the authenticity has not been proven. This type of interview question has sparked a wave of discussion and sharing of interview skills. News highlights: 53-year-old actor Zhang Junhan recently caused cellulitis due to squeezing pus. Antibiotics are ineffective, and he will undergo surgery and debridement on the 7th, and he will be hospitalized for about 2 weeks after surgery. Kang Junhan shared a photo of his hospital bed on social platforms, revealing that his blood pressure was low and the nurse was worried that it might cause sepsis. He admitted that although he left the fluorescent screen for a while, he still missed fans and acting, and lamented that life is full of different experiences. Fans have sent their best wishes, wishing him a speedy recovery. News highlights: Japanese netizens found that the green perilla leaves in the sashimi packaging were actually realistic plastic antibacterial tablets, although they were printed with the words inedible, but the font was too small and the appearance was realistic, which was easy to cause the risk of accidental ingestion. The poster criticized this practice for increasing plastic waste, and called on supermarkets to stop using such fake leaves, preferring not to put decorations. Netizens also shared their experience of misusing plastic leaves for stir-frying, and suggested that it is safer to print leaf patterns directly on trays. The incident has sparked heated discussions about excessive food packaging, environmental protection and safety, and most people believe that fresh vegetables should be purchased when it is really necessary to avoid the inconvenience and pollution caused by plastic decoration. News highlights: dietitian Zhang Lingjun reminded that commercial 3-in-1 coffee contains a lot of hydrogenated vegetable oil and artificial flavors, which is high in calories and low in nutritional value, and long-term drinking may lead to weight gain. She recommends switching to black coffee or filter coffee to avoid excess sugar and oil. Geneticist Zhang Jiaming emphasized that freshly ground black coffee is rich in antioxidants, and it is recommended to drink it in the morning to help metabolism and not affect sleep, making it a healthier pick-me-up. News highlights: Huang Qiuaqing led a team to distribute cabbage in the Hank Market in Zizi, New Taipei on the 6th to support farmers, but was angrily scolded by a passerby and as a traitor to the country and accused him of betraying the country with fu kunking. Huang Qiuaqing showed an embarrassed smile on the spot, holding cabbage and waving to his aunt in response. The on-site staff loudly drowned out the aunt's protest and lifted her away from the scene. The incident was broadcast live and sparked heated discussions in the community, with netizens commenting on the number of dishes, the behavior of the staff and Huang Qiuaqing's reaction, and the discussion atmosphere was enthusiastic. News highlights: actor Chen Zhenhua was diagnosed with stage 4 nasopharyngeal cancer last year and actively received treatment. Recently, he shared his anti-cancer journey on social platforms, admitting that he had suffered severe neuralgia, describing thousands of ants crawling on his face and that painkillers were ineffective. After 12 rounds of chemotherapy and 33 rounds of radiation therapy, his condition gradually improved, the paralysis of the right side of his face improved, his neuralgia was significantly reduced, and he was even able to eat and drink normally. Chen Zhenhua is in stable mental condition and said that he will continue to share his anti-cancer journey and encourage patients to work together. News highlights: the latest research has found that if middle-aged and elderly men eat more turmeric, berries, garlic, rosemary, and green tea, which are 5 foods rich in methyl adaptogens, the average biological age is more than 2 years younger after 8 weeks, and some people even reverse it by nearly 9 years. Zhang Jiaming, director of the Department of Genetics and Eugenics at Taipei Rong Zone, pointed out that the DNA methylation clock is more accurate than the actual age of cells to measure the aging state. These foods are rich in polyphenolic compounds, which help stabilize gene expression, enhance cell repair and anti-aging ability, and delay the rate of human aging. News highlights: the Taipei City Land Administration Bureau announced that the number of buildings sold and transferred in June was 2,037, a decrease of 22% from the same period last year, but an increase of 17% from May. Su Jinchench, chairman of the Taipei Real Estate Agents Association, pointed out that it remains to be seen whether the housing market will stabilize, and the impact of credit control on new housing loans may limit the volume of the housing market. In terms of prices, the residential composite index fell to 128.39, down 1.5% month-on-month, with apartment prices falling the most, falling back to January levels last year. Prices of older apartments are under pressure due to the age of the buildings, loan restrictions, and the theme of redevelopment. The market sentiment has shifted to buyers, and those with demand are advised to seize the bargaining opportunity. News highlights the U.S. reciprocal tariff period on July 9 is about to expire, and Taiwan's policy is still unclear, causing TSMC stock price to fall and Taiwan stocks to fall simultaneously. Financial stocks have become the main force to resist the decline, and the national bill gold has been strongly closed under the encouragement of foreign investors and market rumors of public stocks, driving other financial stocks to rise. The national ticket will be fully re-elected in 2026, and the two major private stock camps, Want and NICE Group, will start a bargaining chip war in advance due to disagreement, and NICE will form an alliance with Taiwan Steel, and Want has received support from many parties. The Ministry of Finance signaled that the public stock treasury should actively increase its holdings and strive to protect the influence of public shares, but the official and relevant units have not yet responded to this, and the market is concerned about the trend of the re-election and the change of management rights. News highlights the U.S. trade negotiations with China did not have a clear agreement, market funds turned to domestic demand stocks to hedge, and tourism and catering benefited from the summer vacation peak season, exchange rate benefits and tourism demand, and strengthened against the trend on the 7th. Wangpin, Shenfu and other tourism stocks became the focus of funds, and Wangpin's share price rose by more than 4%, with an interest rate of more than 30%. In terms of travel agencies, the number of bookings increased by more than 20% due to the new national holidays and the appreciation of the new Taiwan dollar, and the summer tour boom drove the increase in bookings by more than 20%, with popular destinations including Japan, South Korea, and Europe. With the blessing of the peak season of the catering industry, Wangpin's revenue in May increased by 7.75% year-on-year, and the profit affected by foreign exchange losses decreased slightly. News highlights scabies is a highly contagious skin disease caused by scabies infection, which is mainly transmitted through close contact and often occurs in homes, care facilities, and prisons. After 2 to 6 weeks of incubation, the itching at night is particularly severe, affecting sleep, and the symptoms mostly appear in the creases of the body such as groin, armpits, and navel. Scabies is active at night, causing an increased itching sensation. Scabies is highly contagious and requires early diagnosis and treatment to avoid cluster infections. Even if the scabies dies, the remains can still cause an allergic reaction that causes persistent itching, called postpruritus. With proper medication and a clean environment, scabies can be cured and there is no need for excessive panic. News highlights Typhoon Dennis hit southern Taiwan hard, especially Tainan City, causing 2 deaths and 334 injuries. The 2 fatalities occurred in Tainan, including a patient with a respirator malfunction due to a power outage and a farm tool driver who was hit by a fallen tree. The meteorological department said that the typhoon has weakened to mild, the storm circle continues to shrink, and it is expected to leave the land of Taiwan at 3 p.m. today. The Central Disaster Response Center also reported that a fisherman in Yulan was swept away by the waves and is still being searched and rescued. The southern part of the country had the highest number of casualties, Tainan City was the hardest hit, and many people were injured in other counties and cities such as Qi, Kaohsiung, and Yunlin. News highlights many people think that calcium can only be supplemented by milk, but they ignore the calcium content of komatsuna, which is commonly used in bento boxes, is the highest in green leafy vegetables, containing about 90 mg of calcium per 100 grams, even more than milk and spinach. Dietitian Lin Xiang pointed out that komatsucho has low oxalic acid and a calcium absorption rate of 50–60%, which is better than most vegetables, and is an ideal source of calcium for vegetarians or dairy-intolerant people. It is recommended to choose whole grains as the staple food and fish rich in omega-3 as protein, such as mackerel and salmon, to balance nutrition and health. News highlights although Typhoon Dennis went to sea at the junction of Daowen and Hsinchu in the early morning of today, 7th, and turned into a mild typhoon, its strong winds and heavy rain in the early stage still caused serious damage, with a total of 2 deaths and 334 injuries in Taiwan. The number of power outages in Taiwan is as high as 380,000 to be repaired, and the water outages and telecommunications outages have not yet fully recovered. The meteorological department reminds the southern and western parts of the country that there is still heavy rain and strong winds, and the sea surface is strong, and appeals to the public not to neglect it, avoid going to the beach for activities, and continue to pay attention to safety. News highlights at the end of 2024, the Information Managers Association of the Republic of China, IMA, launched the Taiwan Tongues Project, which aims to build a local corpus in Taiwan and optimize AI's understanding of Taiwan's cultural context. Faced with the current situation that the 3 pillars of AI development in Taiwan are insufficient, such as algorithms, computing power, and data, IMA chose to focus on data construction, collect and authorize high-quality corpus, promote public infrastructure, and reduce legal doubts about enterprises' access to data. The project not only enriches the content of Chinese traditional and Taiwanese, but also launches the Taiwan Tongue Scoring Dataset to evaluate the AI model's mastery of Taiwanese culture, language, and values, hoping to make international AI models truly understand Taiwan and enhance Taiwan's cultural subjectivity and international influence. News highlights from July 8. The numerologist of Soho.com pointed out that the zodiac rat, dragon, and pig will usher in the favor of the god of wealth, and wealth will be prosperous. The zodiac rat is sensitive and witty, performs well in the workplace, wins and dividends, has a broad social network and makes noble friends, has stable financial management, and has rapid growth in wealth. The zodiac dragon's career is climbing. It is partial to both wealth, with the help of nobles, good at innovation and investment in emerging industries, and financial freedom is just around the corner. The zodiac pig family is lucky, the elders support financial management, the work is stable and trusted, the traditional industry is rooted in the operation, and the financial resources are rolling in. All three zodiac signs are expected to usher in abundant wealth in July. News highlights: U.S. President Donald Trump announced that he would send tariff notification letters to global trading partners from noon on July 7, launching a new round of unilateral tariff policies, requiring countries to complete trade agreements within a time limit, otherwise high tariffs will be imposed from August 1. Trump said that countries that support the anti-US policies of the BRICS countries will impose an additional 10% tariff, without exception. Some countries that have completed the agreement, such as the United Kingdom and Vietnam, will not be affected, while China is still in the observation stage. The move is seen as a fair trade ultimatum, but there are concerns that it could impact global supply chains and push up prices, adding to trade uncertainty. News highlights at 11 o'clock in the morning today, 7th, a suspected husband and wife family dispute occurred on Mingde Road, Dujin, New Taipei, resulting in 2 women being cut, in their 40s and 30s, respectively, with serious injuries and both OHCA, with multiple knife wounds on their bodies, which have been sent to Yedong and Dujin Changgung Hospital for rescue. Police were reported to have rushed to the scene and have identified the suspect and launched a pursuit. The Dujin branch reminded the public to communicate rationally and avoid the use of violence in case of disputes, otherwise they will face legal sanctions. News highlights: a male lion named Zeus escaped from a private zoo in Manavgat, Turkey, and attacked Süleyman Kur, a man who was resting in a field, in the early hours of the morning, causing serious injuries to his thigh and neck. The man and his wife fought with the lion for about 15 to 20 minutes before successfully escaping and asking for help. After the lion fled into the forest, it was pursued by the police and other units, and was shot dead for threatening public safety. The zoo involved has been forcibly closed, and the authorities are investigating the cause of the lion's escape, and the district chief said that it has not yet clarified how the lion escaped. News highlights: a 61-year-old man in the United States developed severe abnormal symptoms after receiving a kidney transplant, and was found to be infected with a rare parasitic nematode in his body, and the source of infection was actually from the transplanted kidney. The donor, who lived in the Caribbean Sea during his lifetime, was not screened for fecal pole nematodes, resulting in the transmission of the pathogen through organ transplantation. The patient's condition deteriorated rapidly, developing respiratory failure and shock, and he was admitted to the intensive care unit for treatment. Another 66-year-old man who received a kidney from the same donor contracted a similar disease and has recovered. This case reminds that there is still a risk of transmission of rare pathogens in organ transplant screening. News highlights: Wang Tong made his debut at the age of 14 when he filmed Girls Go Forward, and quickly became popular because of his eccentric image. She was embarrassed by the school for taking a lot of leave, and experienced a thrilling car accident. At that time, in order to catch a plane, she was riding a motorcycle at a speed of 80 km per hour, but a car suddenly turned around and hit the windshield of the vehicle, which was in danger. Fortunately, Wang Tong escaped, and later shared this experience on the show, lamenting that his life was safe and sound. News highlights: Typhoon Danas made landfall in Bude, Chi at 11:40 last night, and the strong winds caused a tragedy. An 80-year-old father was taking his 2 daughters to inspect the farmland in the wind and rain when the vehicle was blown over and fell into the field by strong winds, and the front of the car was seriously damaged. As a result of the accident, 1 daughter was killed and the father and another daughter were seriously injured. Witnesses said the wind suddenly strengthened and the vehicle overturned out of control. Police have been informed that the cause of the accident is still under investigation. News highlights: the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission, CPSC, announced a number of problematic products, including more than 300 injuries reported due to the weight plate easily falling off the handle, including concussions, abrasions, and broken toes. Costco Taiwan said that it only imported this dumbbell, and it was immediately removed from the shelves after receiving the notice, and began to contact consumers for a recall on June 27 to protect customer safety. News highlights: after Typhoon Dennis landed in Chi, the wind and rain were strong, and at 4:35 a.m. on the 7th, a fatal car accident occurred at 284.2 km southbound on National Highway 3. A self-owned passenger car was suspected of crashing into the lane for unknown reasons, and the 26-year-old driver surnamed Wu lost consciousness and was still declared dead after being sent to the hospital. The police said that the detailed cause of the accident is still to be investigated, and reminded the public to slow down and keep a safe distance on rainy days to avoid regrets. News highlights: at about 11 o'clock in the morning on the 7th, Section 2, Mingde Road, Dujin District, New Taipei City, there was a slashing case. The two women were slashed and stabbed multiple times for unknown reasons while sharing a motorcycle, and their injuries are serious, and they are currently being sent to the hospital for rescue. It is understood that the two knights are sisters. The sister quarreled with the brother-in-law, and the brother-in-law chased and slashed the two people on a bicycle, and the details of the case still need to be further investigated and clarified. News highlights: Tainan Madao Interchange was hit by strong winds from Typhoon Dennis last night, causing the collapse of many tin houses, and the 64-year-old incense maker surnamed Li was trapped and rescued and temporarily lived in the district office. When I returned home this morning, I found that my residence was completely destroyed, and my car and tools were crushed into scrap metal, and I suffered heavy losses. He choked up and said that he had never encountered such a disaster, and stood silent in front of his ruined home for a long time, and the scene was sour. News highlights: Typhoon Dennis made landfall from Budayinchi on the evening of the 6th, the first time seen in a century, bringing violent wind and rain, and 7 strong winds of up to 16 in Tainan. The huge statue of the prince in Neza Park behind the Taiying Taigong in Tainan was blown off by strong winds, and was blown off and fell to the ground, causing netizens to exclaim there is no prince in the palace. Fortunately, the statue of the prince on the top of the temple is still intact, and netizens have left messages to thank the prince for blessing the safety of the place. News highlights: ASA, a member of the South Korean girl group Baby Monster, shocked the audience by revealing that only kindergarten graduates in Running Man. She revealed that she has been a trainee since she was a child, and has been traveling back and forth to Japan and South Korea for many years to pursue her dreams, without receiving formal education, and has been trained for 6 years. The host and the audience lamented that the competition in the entertainment industry is fierce, and many idols have sacrificed their studies since childhood to devote themselves to training, which has also aroused attention and discussion about the education and rights of children's artists. News highlights: artist Xiao Xian mourned in the community for her friend Li Zhengyuan, who died unexpectedly due to underwater engineering, revealing that she was in Germany, grief-stricken, and she couldn't stop crying for 2 days. She recalled that Li Zhengyuan was enthusiastic and cheerful, always accompanied by his side, and called on relevant units to pay attention to the safety of underwater operations to avoid the recurrence of regrets. At the end of the article, Xiao Xian affectionately wrote down her thoughts and blessings to her friends, looking forward to meeting again in the future. News highlights: South Korean actress Kwon Eun concubine participated in the Water Bomb Music Festival again on the 6th, wearing a white bikini and singing and dancing, and when performing Beyoncé's Crazy in Love, a backward action accidentally slipped out of her side breasts, causing a riot in the audience. With an F-class body of 44 kilograms, she once again became the focus of attention and was named the Goddess of Water Bombs. News highlights: Typhoon Dennis made landfall in Chi with more than 14 strong winds, and the strong winds were amazing. A netizen shared a video on Threads, in which the ambulance was blown away by a strong wind, and even people and cars slid away, which was shocking. Many netizens exclaimed that the wind was terrifying, and they were also worried about the safety of the people at the scene. Other netizens noticed that a head similar to pineapple bread appeared in the video, which sparked heated discussions and interesting responses. News highlights: in response to the controversy over the suspension of classes in Dawin's 1 Peach, 2 Systems District, former director of the Meteorological Bureau, Cheng Mingdian, said that the move was rational and reasonable, reflecting the trend of refined forecasting. He pointed out that Dawin's coastal and inland risks are indeed different, and zoning decisions can reduce social costs. Zhang stressed that in the future, typhoon holidays should be more refined and flexible, and avoid one-size-fits-all, and encourage local governments to retain flexibility to deal with special situations, so as to make policies more in line with reality and technological development. News highlights: on the morning of July 7, 2025, a horrific street murder occurred in Dujin District, New Taipei City, where a man slashed his wife and sister with a knife in Section 2 of Mingde Road, causing them to lose their breathing and heartbeat on the spot, and they were still pronounced dead after being sent to the hospital. The suspect, the brother-in-law of the deceased, has been arrested by the police and the motive for the case is under further investigation. News highlights: due to the re-election of the national ticket next year, it is rumored that the official stocks and private stocks will rush in, and the price limit will be 15.7 yuan as soon as the market opens today, 7, with a turnover of more than 30,000 and more than 20,000 waiting in line to buy, becoming the king of Taiwan stock trading. It is rumored in the market that the Ministry of Finance has called on the public stock bank to increase its weight and strive to compete with Want and Nice Group. Financial stocks have generally risen and become a safe haven for funds today. News highlights: a man in his 80s, who had no chronic disease, developed dizziness, swelling and high blood pressure 10 months ago. It was not until the severe pain in the upper abdomen in the past 2 months that the examination found that there was a 15 cm tumor in the liver, and the liver cancer was diagnosed at an advanced stage. Physician Jian Zhenghong explained that this is a tumor accessory syndrome, which may cause high cholesterol and low blood sugar in the early stage of liver cancer, which is easy to be misdiagnosed, and reminded that abnormal symptoms should be comprehensively examined.